Humble just got humbled by big talent really bad. I wasn't actually here for the game. I was out on the Sunday with friends, so I'm analysing this after finding out the score, but I'm going to try and keep an open mind. Regardless, I couldn't believe it when I saw the score around lunchtime. I was half laughing, half really perplexed. So when I got home later that day, I rewatched the match and I was just gobsmacked. So to find out where it all went wrong for Humble, let's just jump straight into the analysis right now. Set 1, gem grab on double swoosh. Humble first pick Clancy, which is actually a great tank counter and great lane brawler. Big talents pick up the Sandy and Kit. Sandy is a great gem carrier that has the stun gadget and super to help push enemy team back, push themselves up the map and also scout the bushes, so a really good pick here. Kit is slightly unusual, but he has proved himself in East Asia when Battleman picked him up in gem grab against SKC in the semis, showing that the Kit can be really dangerous and is also just not afraid to give up his life for map control and kill trades. Humble final pick Otis and Janet. Okay, so Otis is a tank counter but also works decently on the lane, and Janet will obviously be the gem carrier. Now my alarm bells are ringing here for a few reasons. First of all, we have double tank counter. Big talents have chosen a Kit. I now kind of doubt they will go with a tank, more like a lane brawler or a controller. So this double down was kind of unnecessary, especially when Clancy is the best at his role right now. Second of all, no aggression. They have no brawlers which can really run up the backlines and cause chaos or force the big talents team back. So they will struggle a lot reclaiming any lost mid control. Finally, big talents now have the Mo, so they will be really dominant on this right side, and with the Kit on the upper left, Humble are just going to be severely pinched down the middle with no way of escaping, as they lack any aggressive brawlers or just any brawlers that can get a turnover of mid control, like a Lou, Finks, Ziggy for example. Humble's draft is by no means bad, but in this context it is unfavourable. They failed to realise the threat of big talents Kit and Mo and have given themselves a more difficult way to try and win this set, mostly relying on their mechanics. Game 1, it's looking really bad for Humble. This Kit is just pocketing the Clancy on the left lane. Sandy is basically holding the middle, mostly uncontested, and Mo is just being a nuisance on the right lane. And Humble are just not able to fight back at all. I mean, just look at how deep Humble have to sit, as they have no brawlers that can push themselves back up and in the game. And as the first game, just utter complete domination by big talents who drafted really well here, and the Kit is kind of popping off on the left lane. Not even crazy mechanics, just a better draft and game sense. Game 2, Clancy and Otis double down on his left lane and to try and make their own aggression and control big talents back line. They managed to get a decent position before running off and handing back big talents' turf. So a kind of useless takedown of the Kit there, as they could have just held the ground for longer. But later Humble are able to regain their control for longer and sit themselves in the bushes, preventing big talents from making any counter push on Humble. This does give Humble a narrow gem lead and start the first countdown with a 1 gem difference, but Lukey decides to go into the air and try to wait it out for the last 7 seconds, but the countdown has stopped as the gems level, so it becomes a wasted hyper super sadly. Boss manages to get an insane hyper super on the Kit and Sandy, but is unfortunately taken down by Mo hyper super, who claims the gems off of Boss. Later, a hyper super from the Kit secures even more gems, and they now have the gap they need to secure the first set. Look, I couldn't watch the match live, so I know the outcome as I analyse this game, but I feel like if I did, I would be screaming at Humble to have picked an aggressive brawler or a tank brawler like a Leon Lily or Ollie Buster. And if they wanted to stick with their comp but shut down the Kit and Mo super, they should have opened up the walls and bushes, but they banned the best brawler for that, which is Brock. They didn't have any way to really push back big talents, but big talents just had the perfect draft to go and destroy Humble. Set 2, we are in dueling Beetle's hot zone. Crazy enough, most of the best brawlers on this map have been banned, and Humble do pick up a great first pick with Otis, the tank counter. Big talents go with Meeple, which is a great brawler to attack through the enemy walls, given that there are no wall breakers essentially, and also the Meeple mansion will cause problems. Penny is also another great pick for the lane, dealing like coin splash damage on hit when Humble climb up, and the turret will be annoying and difficult to destroy. Now Humble last pick are Barley and Kenji. Kenji is a good assassin that can also act as a tank to put on some pressure on the zone, but Barley, I just couldn't believe it. Maybe they opted for the Barley for some control, but why not take a Finks or a Lou or even a Squeak or Willow? Barley is not as good as them. He is squishy, weak, old meta, and Big Talents have the meeple to shoot through the walls. Big Talents final pick a Stu, which is just going to rip through Humble's walls and just rip the Barley to shreds. And honestly, I can't put this any lighter, but this is just an awful pick from Humble, and it's going to take a lot from them to make any sort of comeback. Game 1, it's bad. Kenji and Barley are in the middle and literally giving so much time to Big Talents. In fact, Big Talents have a 25% advantage before Kenji even gets involved in the game. Their plan was to use the Barley super to push back Big Talent to create that room for Kenji to go up and try to spawn camp. Now, there are 3 massive reasons why this plan failed. First of all, they just gave Big Talents a massive advantage on its own. Secondly, the Barley super does not last as long as a Lou, Finks, or even Squeak gadget super. So this is a really short opening for Humble to make a turnaround and get the Kenji up. Third of all, Penny and the Salty Barrel just rinse through Kenji again and again, and this plan crumbles horribly. I'm even surprised that Humble were leading for the first minute of the game, but once Stu opens up that left wall and can kill the Barley over and over, it's just downhill from there. I mean, just look at this point in the map. Meeple's super helps spawn kill Humble, and he's even cycling supers, and Stu is wrecking Semantic on the left side, literally for the fun of it. After that, I don't think we saw Humble get anywhere near the halfway point of this map once. Absolute domination from Big Talents. And who would have guessed it, but game 2 went the same basically. Kenji does decide to run up the map this time instead of waiting, but gets melted by the Penny and Meeple. Stu breaks open the only protection for Barley, making it an easy picking there. Meanwhile, Otis can't do anything on the right side and has to sit deep until his teammates respawn. Barley gets a good super, but it just doesn't mean anything because Big Talents are so dominant and prevent Humble making any attempt on the middle. And that's game 2 with a 70% difference. If that doesn't scream domination, I don't know what does. This was an incredible draft and game for Big Talents and a miserable one from Humble. And just those stats are quite frankly disgusting. Final set for Humble to start a reverse sweep. Gold Gulch, Knockout. Even though Knockout and Bounty are Humble's worst game modes on paper, they need to clutch here. Now I'm ignoring Humble's first pick for one reason and one reason only. This just frustrated me. Because who is the best brawler right now on Knockout, Bounty, and just overall control of the map? Ziggy. And guess who picked it up? Big Talent. We saw in East Asia how dominant Ziggy was for SKC against Crazy Raccoon. Surely someone on Humble's team would have seen that and said to either first pick it, which Humble had the first pick, or just ban it completely. Well, I guess not. So Humble are already at a major deficit here, and they've already banned the Brock to prevent any early wall breaks. They truly are cooked. Back to RT, he is a good brawler for the long range and shuts down any aggressive brawlers that get close, and also just a pretty good hypercharge in the late game. Big Talents pick up the Ollie, who also had a great game in the SKZ Crazy Raccoon game in East Asia. So again, an oversight in the bans from Humble. Ollie can also create some great pressure and will be a nuisance for this tick pick from Humble, which is forced because it's the only brawler that outranges Ziggy and can create some kind of support and just control for Humble to get up the map and actually put up a fight for the mid. Humble then final pick the Rico. Now Rico is not bad, but the Ruffs would have been significantly better. Not only does the Ruffs give the support through his super can break through walls, which is so necessary right now to stop the Ziggy. And Big Talents, they final pick a Piper, which is probably the only other wall breaker available that would have worked here. And by breaking open some walls, it creates space for some choke points that Big Talents can force Humble into, and also gives a really clear line of shot for Piper to just beam down Humble. Game 1, just look at the domination. Ollie's creating immense pressure at the bottom, which clumps up the RT and tick that allows Ziggy to get double hits and focus the entire side of Humble to this right with the Rico. Big Talents are sitting so comfortably in the middle and Humble have no way of getting back into this really. Piper opens up the bottom of the map and Big Talents make a rotation to the top, push Humble away and use the remaining cover to their advantage. Rico gets pinched on the right side, Ziggy gets an insane super that rinses through the map, which takes down the tick, and RT falls just as easily. Round 2, there was a really good play by the Ziggy, who uses his super to force every member of Humble back, and thanks to a tick head, they all managed to survive, but just barely. Tick does get a kill on the Ziggy, and one kill is kinda all you need in the early game to help you win the round, especially on the Ziggy. Ollie quickly ends round 2, and Humble for the first time today have some kind of a chance to get their first game win of today. Round 3, Ollie gets a hyper super on the RT for the takedown, and that's the end for Humble. They do wait it out and try, but it's just inevitable that big talents take game 1. Bonus analysis, at the end we have this nice choke point pinch with the Ollie stopping Humble escaping up over this wall, and therefore they have to face the Ziggy and Piper who beam them down and annihilate them. Game 2, it's close at the start, but a clever Ziggy TP almost gets the kill on the tick and RT, who are forced back and pressured into the Ollie and Piper through again a Ziggy super. Are you starting to realize how powerful he is now? Ollie makes this really cool jump over the tick edge, followed by a Rico and tick takedown, sweeping the first round. Round 2, Ziggy TP to the middle, which is really smart. Gaining control for big talents early will really help them dominate over Humble and force them into exposed positions to be chipped away and get takedowns like dominoes, one after the other. However, Ollie gets a little too aggressive and charges straight into the RT, who obliterates him. Rico takes down the Piper and the Ziggy is killed by the tick. Just goes to show how one small mistake can lead to a really quick downfall on the hands of big talent. But as we all know, it's a short-lived sign of hope for Humble, who again fall trapped to the Ziggy TP and super at the start of round 3, and they get the tick taken down. Like I said earlier, it was the only brawler that could stop the Ziggy, so the rest of the game goes really easy for big talent. RT evades death twice, and the Ollie jumps out of the Rico super in the nick of time, but the ending was always inevitable. And look at these stats again, Ollie and Ziggy just dominant, whilst the Piper was just there for fun. Yeah, also breaking up some walls and creating choke points, making some pretty good plays, but it wasn't even that necessary. They could have chose a Mandy. Okay, so I'm starting the post-match evaluation as I do for these videos, and as I was starting, Humble's comms video came out and it showed me a lot. Now, the obvious thing was drafting. Humble drafted really poorly, there's no denying that at all, and they had to pay the ultimate price. Set 1 in Gem Grab was actually not that bad, but they just lacked any tank or aggressive brawler that could get them out of the tough situation when the Kit and Mo are just dominant on the lanes. Set 2 is where the cracks started to show. When drafting, you could hear them struggle to make any correct pick. As they panic with the Barley, it was a bad pick. Not just from the outcome, but on paper, it was already countered by the Meeple, and since big talents at the time still had their final pick and no current assassin or aggressive brawler, the Stew was just the perfect counter, the perfect double counter, and the bonus of a wall break too. And in the final set, it just shatters. You can just barely hear Lukey say that they have the Ziggy comp.
We go G on Ollie comp.
We're gonna go and J on into a seat, you know.
Ziggy has comp though.
Essentially admitting defeat before they had even begun. And I had the same reaction watching this. It's not that they gave up, they still played really well, or as well as they can, to be honest. But you just know in your heart that the Ziggy was too strong to be reckoned with. It's not glazing, it's just a fact. So let's start with big talents. They drafted really cleverly. It felt like that they had the perfect answer to Humble's draft choices and were so confident playing every brawler. I wouldn't even say that they were mechanically better by a massive amount, but the drafting helped a lot. And I would bet that if we swapped all the drafts, then Humble would have swept as well. So whoever was doing the homework for big talents, they deserve an A++. The thing is, in the pro scene, you could be the worst team mechanically, but you will always win with a better draft against a team like Humble, who are mechanically so gifted, with a poor draft, and we have seen that today, or as close as we can, because big talents mechanically are still really good. I'm not denying that. They played brilliant and they are brilliant, but it just goes to show how important drafting is. is such a powerful skill and tactic in Brawl Esports, and that's why Zeta and Humble failed this month, whereas Crazy Raccoon, Foot and SKC were the best teams in April so far. Now, do we need to be worried for Humble? No, not at all. They know where their problems lie, and I'm super glad. They knew that all their drafts and bans were bad, and I really hope they can reanalyze each game, pick out brawlers they should have picked instead, what team comps would have worked, what brawlers they should have banned, and hopefully they can get some more practice drafting in these monthlies. The draft of big talents was nothing crazy, not like our Crazy Raccoon draft, go check out the video, but Humble just didn't have the right answer to it. So I'm not worried as long as they act on their mistake for future scrims, matches, and just be fully prepared for Brawl Cup. Because one mistake and they are cooked. Now let's have a bit of positivity here, because I want to thank Humble a lot for being just an incredible organization with an incredible roster, coaches, analysts, players, creators, and just people working behind the scenes for Humble as they deliver their comms videos and analysis videos, which help me make videos like this, but also teach me and so many others how to improve. So thank you so much, Humble. I also recommend watching their comms videos, but also pay attention to the end where they review their year so far in Brawl Esports. Semantic also posted on Twitter that this is only Humble's second worst result in over 2 years. It just goes to show how consistent they have been in the last 2 years and probably even longer. And consistency is hard, so a slip was bound to happen sooner or later. It's also what I said in the comment I made under the video. They worked really hard and are probably tired, so deserve a good rest to re-energize for Brawl Cup. Well, that is my slightly harsher analysis than normal on Humble. It wasn't their month, and although I'm disappointed in the drafting and outcome of April, they still sit close to Foot and far from third place Heretics, and have a chance of closing in the gap on Foot through the points awarded in Brawl Cup, which is going to be a tough one for Humble to defend their crown. Best of luck to Humble, Foot, Crazy Raccoon and Zeta, who are the teams currently qualified. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.